This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
BooBaes.
Hey, there's a voice.
Hi,
Thanks, Josh.
Hello.
and welcome to BooBaes.
Man, this show just starts, doesn't it? It just
It does.
Jump right in. I'm Joshua.
And I'm Caitlin. And today we have a guest.
hello.
It's
named
Mike.
Mike.
Mike. This was
me, I'm
so
here.
unrehearsed, but you know what?
It was very unrehearsed, but
Off
that's
the
okay.
cuss. That's the best
We've
thing.
known each other for a while, so it's
Long
good.
time.
Yeah.
Really.
So what is this show again?
This show is
No, I'm just kidding.
BooBaes.
I'm
This is
just
a
joking.
boo. We are going to be talking about a special movie today, especially to Mike over
Yeah.
here.
A
Happens to
special
love.
listener request.
It is
You
a
got it.
listener request, which if you all know, this month we're doing half of our shows are listener request, and today's is The Evil Dead 2.
Woohoo!
Sam Raimi's film released in 1987.
87.
Follow up
Jeez.
to the original Evil Dead.
Slash.
In a way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Josh and I talked about this a little bit earlier, but
Mhm.
we figured maybe we'd let Mike explain it to us. But we were confused. We looked it up, and so we know the answer now,
Yeah.
but maybe our listeners won't know.
Yeah.
And so I was confused. I was like, is this fool really dumb enough to go back to the cabin?
Mhm.
And then also like, holy shit, Ash moves on fast. He gives
Yeah.
a whole new same necklace to some
Same
new
name.
bitch.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, he likes Linda's apparently. But I was like, this is clearly a different person. So I didn't clue in that it was supposed to be like a requel.
Like a recap of sorts
Yeah,
at the
so
beginning.
so I don't count the first movie. Honestly, it's just not even.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that they did it, but they all did it when they were super young, had no money in Detroit. You know, they all knew each other. They were just goofing around, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then somebody made the mistake of giving them some money, and so they just basically remade the movie with more stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely felt like bigger budget. You
Oh,
know what
yeah.
I mean? Like they had
Oh,
more
yeah.
resources to actually
Yeah,
kind of
the
make their ideas come to life.
Prosthetics and stuff were a lot better.
Yeah, and they even
the
had that moment with
practical effects.
here at the beginning, or towards with Linda like reanimating and stuff, like
Yeah.
whole body
Looked like
dancing.
claymation.
Yeah, it
So,
looked like Tim Burton.
I'm pretty sure it was claymation. Yeah. And I want y'all to understand something. I understand that this movie is not like the greatest movie ever made.
Oh,
I
yeah.
understand the effects are a little goofy sometimes. And
Yeah.
stuff.
But that's part of the charm.
It is
right?
part of the charm. And the way that I look at Evil Dead 2 is it's a cartoon. It's a big cartoon. And honestly, that's the way they kind of looked at it when they were making it. So Ash, if he gets blown up in one scene, you come back next scene and he's fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like a cat getting hit in the face with a frying pan. It's the shape of the frying pan. Next scene, he's
Very
fine.
Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
Acme
Absolutely.
thing
Absolutely.
falling on
Yeah,
people.
they even like I know for one for sure goof was when Ash got thrown into the cellar at one point. He destroyed like all of the stairs on the way down, and then later on, whenever he goes to
There's no continuity.
Yeah.
meet Henrietta and stuff,
He's like climbing back
all
up them.
all of the stairs are intact.
Yeah.
and I was like, that doesn't
Yeah, you're not
doesn't
supposed to
quite
take
line up.
You're not supposed to take any of this seriously.
But that does
Yeah.
make sense when
Yeah.
you say like think of it in the sense of a cartoon.
It is a cartoon. Yeah, that's really all it is.
Because it's really out there and
Fair.
it's really like campy.
It is
you know.
very campy. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I will. So you said 87. That's when this came out. Good God. Okay, so I was 18 years old when this came out. So
Yeah.
sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a sweet spot. I took a girl to see this, not knowing how a visceral reaction she would have to it, where she's
Oh.
like, "This sucks," and I'm just like, "Well, then you can leave. I'll
Yeah,
stay."
I'm
And
enjoying this.
Yeah, I stayed and watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
Did she actually leave?
yes, and so
Nice.
that's fine. I don't care. I
Well,
just
that's how
And
you
never
know.
had
just
a
met
second
you.
date.
See ya.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that
well,
kind of
that's how
thing.
you
So-
know she's not the one.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was definitely not the one, and then and I've made that mistake several times. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I don't know, man. This movie just hit me in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things.
I think
And
it's
just
the
gotcha.
nostalgia, and then it's also when things happen, you keep them with you. You know, they
Yes.
grow with you. They kind
Oh,
of become like
yeah.
who you are in
Yeah.
a way.
Well, I've got
Like-
Ash tattooed on my leg, the
Yeah,
whole thing. Yeah,
exactly.
it was a moment in time, you know, that I
Mhm.
wanted to keep. The other thing about this movie and Sam Raimi is this made me a huge Sam Raimi fan, and I wanted to see anything and everything he's ever done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3, I don't count because that sucks.
That
Also,
was so bad.
It wasn't his fault though.
no, it wasn't his fault. That's
Mm-mm.
the studio
Studios, yeah.
saying, "Oh, well, let's do this, and more is better." Well, shut up. No, it's not.
Mhm.
So, Spider-Man 3 should have just been about Venom, and
Mhm.
I would have been happy, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Venom is such a big anyway. It doesn't have anything to do with this. But yeah, Evil Dead 2, one of my all-time favorite movies. Hit me at the right time. It's a big cartoon. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we ready to jump into it?
I'm ready. Let's go.
What is that?
Well,
What are
because
you
even-
eating over there?
Mac and cheese.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
We
okay.
got mac and cheese at
From the mac and cheese.
Shout
hut?
out to Roni's
Yeah.
at
Roni's.
The Union
Union
Hall.
The
Sponsor
Union
us.
Hall. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
pretty good.
Also,
Was it good?
Butterfinger.
Yeah,
sponsor
mine was good.
us.
Sure, Butterfinger. I think that's a little bit of a reach there, but
They're
maybe
gonna come.
They could.
maybe
they're gonna-
Roni's.
And
gonna love it.
HEB Hill Country Fair gummy bears. Shout out.
Those are
Anything
full,
on the table.
are
Sponsor
those
us.
full sugar?
I believe so.
Gummy bears?
Yeah.
Okay.
They certainly taste.
You don't
like
want
it.
those other ones. Those are the ones that give you diarrhea.
Oh really?
the
no.
ones with the
These
fake
are
sugar.
so
oh
good.
yeah, because of all those Amazon reviews
Mhm.
where they were
No,
like,
no.
I like shit my pants for
Yeah.
4 days straight.
Yeah, a lot of people would eat those and just
hear about
evacuate their
that.
souls. Yeah.
Oh no, this is I don't know. There's something about the flavor in these that I
Uh-huh.
just like. It's so much better than like the Haribo, whatever,
Yeah,
however you say
yeah,
that brand.
yeah.
Like
Oh.
those are like everywhere.
Yeah.
These are way better.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it's-
Good job, Hill Country Fair.
Yeah. But yeah, in the movie, we're starting off basically with like a recap, and we get the backstory on like the Necronomicon and how it's the Book of the Dead opens
That
up
was
a rift.
all
in,
the syllables.
yeah, it opens up a rift in space and time, and
Yeah.
to a different dimension or portal to is it hell or just not even hell? No,
it's not
just
even really hell.
It's
no.
just yeah.
It's just alternate reality
Yeah,
kind of thing.
because in
Yeah.
the end, we get the whole scene in the Army of Darkness, but
Yeah.
it was written in blood, disappeared a long time ago, and then we
Inked in
get
blood from the red, like a red
oceans,
sea, a blood red sea.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then it was 1300 AD. The book disappeared,
Yeah, pretty wild.
and then
And-
we opened to Ash driving like a bitch in the middle of the road.
Yeah,
So the Pontiac. Can we talk about the Pontiac real
Yes.
quick?
yeah.
The car that they're in.
Mhm.
That Pontiac shows up in a lot of different places. That's Sam Raimi. So the most
Oh, yeah.
recent one is Doctor Strange, the newest Doctor Strange movie.
Right.
Mhm.
The
I
Pontiac
remember you
shows up in
told us
that.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has become as big a character as like Ash has,
Yeah.
Like Bruce Campbell is in every one of Sam Raimi's movies
He makes-
somewhere.
Mhm.
And now the Pontiac has shown up in a lot of his stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's
Was
cool
the
for old
Pontiac
guys.
in
Easter eggs are
Evil
cute.
Dead Rise? Was that the car that they drove?
So
kids?
No,
No, I
but
don't
I
think
so.
think it
It could have been in the parking lot.
I think it is in the parking lot, but I'm not
Okay.
100% sure. Yeah.
Mhm. There were a lot of nods
Now-
that in watching this one because
Yes.
I hadn't seen this one before.
So you
I
saw
was-
Evil Dead Rise
Yeah.
before you watched this? Okay.
But I mean, I did watch the Evil Dead, and
Yeah.
then the remake.
I saw Evil Dead Rise before I saw any Evil Dead.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought
But-
maybe I had seen Evil Dead,
Mhm.
and then we watched Evil Dead, and I was like, no,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just heard so much about it that I thought
Probably all here, but sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that I thought I had seen
There
it.
were a lot of nods from this one and the Evil
Yeah.
Dead Rise that
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Well, and
Yeah.
I told y'all, I think during Evil Dead Rise that Bruce Campbell, he's not in the movie, but his voice is on the record that they play.
Yeah.
He's like one of the priests or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
You would never know had he not said anything. So.
Yeah, it's really cool though.
Yeah.
because
That's great.
Sam Raimi likes to like throw in those Easter eggs. And so
which is really clever.
One of my favorite, by the way, and this has
Uh-huh.
nothing to do with this movie, one of my favorite Easter eggs that Sam Raimi's ever thrown in is at the end of Darkman. You ever seen Darkman?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you should watch Darkman. Darkman's a goofy, over the top thing too. It's more of like a superhero type movie. But at the end, the idea is that he can change his face and he makes this synthetic skin and all this stuff, and so he can be anybody. At the end, he's walking through this crowd. He turns around and he's Bruce Campbell, and so he's like changed his face. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just I love that kind of
I
stuff.
think maybe I've seen that.
Liam Neeson.
Really?
Not
Yeah.
that I've seen
I like
it.
Liam
I think
Neeson.
maybe
that man comes out with a movie like every year.
Well, he didn't used to, but yeah, now it's same plot, different title every time.
Literally.
Yeah. I'm on a plane. No, I'm on a train. No,
I'm in Alaska.
I'm in a sewer. Nope, I'm in Alaska, and I'm fighting bad guys. That's every movie.
Man, ever since Taken, I guess that's kind of what set him
found
back
his
off.
he found his thing, man.
niche,
He found his thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because me and Robert watch a lot of his movies.
Really?
And Robert's like, yeah, man, this is like, he can play an alcoholic because he is in real life. So he just never has to not be drinking.
Wonderful.
And all of the recent movies like got some alcohol problem or adjacent.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Those shakes don't do well on camera.
And so, yeah, like you said, Ash is driving. He's with Linda and she's got the necklace on and everything. And they're heading, she's talking about like, what does this place look like? He's taking her to his parents' cabin or something, right?
Yeah, it's just a cabin in the woods.
Or some cabin, right?
Fun fact, one of my fun facts, it is supposed to be, although the cabin is supposed to be the same one as the one from Evil Dead, that movie was shot in Morristown, Tennessee. The sequel was filmed nearly 270 miles to the east in Wadesboro, North Carolina.
Okay.
And most of the film was shot on a set built inside the gymnasium of Wadesboro Junior High Faison Junior High School. Junior Faison.
Yeah. Junior
That's-
Faison.
yeah,
Love his stuff.
Confused. Financer Dino De Laurentiis.
Dino De Laurentiis.
Yeah, he was the one who's like the
Laurentiis.
producer of the film.
So
Had originally offered his studio in Wilmington, but director Sam Raimi chose Wadesboro, a 3-hour drive away, fearing that being so close to De Laurentiis' office would lead to studio interference.
yeah. De Laurentiis, just to give you all a little bit of history on him, he used to produce a bunch of this kind of stuff. And one of the things that he used to produce, and I believe this is correct, he produced some of like the Jason and the Argonauts type stuff. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen that, but in Jason and the Argonauts, and this is going to Army of Darkness, they fight a lot of claymation skeletons and monsters and stuff like that. And so in Army of Darkness, he's kind of given a nod to all that claymation stuff that De Laurentiis did in the past.
Oh,
And
that's
that's why
like
it's
the
so
creature at the
goofy.
end.
Yeah, it's just so
Yeah,
goofy
yeah.
looking, but it works because if you know the history.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It makes you
Linda's
have
an
a,
idiot too.
Deeper
by the way.
appreciation.
Yeah.
Linda's kind of a moron.
Yeah, she is.
Linda is a
just
little
kind of
stupid.
floozy, just
They
kind of
kind of all are, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And there's at some point too, it is very camp, like the over dramatics of like how they act, and then kind of like the
Yeah,
stereotypes too,
yeah.
like Annie, and then what's his name? I can't remember his name. The dude who was Bobby Joe's boyfriend, Jake. His
Oh,
name's
I called
Jake.
him Tow Truck Man.
It's Jake. No, Jake
Tow Truck
had me
Man.
laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
Especially when he's like, get the paper, and he's like, well, you ain't got no choice now. And
That's
just,
right.
Like, throws him down in
Yeah.
the basement.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna put it in the fire. I thought that
I
would have been
thought
a
he
way
was
better
gonna put it in
idea.
the
Chunks it
fire
down
And then he
there.
just goes and
Yeah.
chunks him down in the
Chunks it
basement.
down in the basement.
I guess because we need him later.
We needed
Sure.
him.
But we make it to the cabin and we're just we're chilling. It's basically a speed round of what we got in the first
Yeah.
movie. And then he finds the book and starts reading the incantation, and then obviously she gets sucked out, and then she's he's looking for her, and then she comes back, and
And this one is the Naturum de Monto, which is also the Book of the Dead, but it's not the Necronomicon.
From the first one,
don't
or I
think
don't know.
so.
I don't know.
It talked about the Necronomicon at the beginning, but then it called this one the Naturum de Monto.
I think that it's just two names for the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the actual
it's like-
literal translation of Book of the Dead.
Maybe it's like the King James versus the New
No.
Age Bible or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
NIV.
NIV,
yeah,
National,
yeah.
International. No.
National,
that's
international version. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
I
Made
get
it
it.
one.
New
That's it.
international
That's
version.
it. Yeah, you got it.
No, but that makes sense though. But I think I get what you mean though, because in the Evil Dead Rise, we get kind of the introduction that like there are other multiple iterations,
Of
like
the
different
book.
copies, volumes.
Yeah.
That's what I got from Evil Dead Rise.
I'm assuming,
Yeah.
because it did rub me the wrong way when I first saw the book, and it wasn't the same book, and I was like, "Come on, at least use the same book." But if there are different versions and they're in different places and things like that, then I completely understand.
Yeah. And I think that is what they're going for.
And by the way, Evil Dead Rise, great movie.
Yeah.
Very, very well
Enjoyed
done.
it.
Yeah,
I liked
very
it
well
a
done.
lot.
Yeah.
It's a nice, like, same kind of situations, and
Yeah.
like they didn't. I mean, it even had like same things happening, like
Yeah.
the eyeball popping
Yeah.
and like certain shots,
Yeah.
and then a lot of homage. But it's like also a new spin, like now that they're in the building and it's like
Cheese
not
grater.
outside, not like in the cabin in the
Yeah.
woods kind of situation.
I hope that it spawns a whole new,
Chain.
well, like a universe,
Mhm,
you know,
mhm.
like a Marvel universe or something, but it's an Evil Dead universe.
Yeah.
I hope so.
That'd be
be
cool.
Yeah.
Mhm. We watch it just like
Yeah,
spread,
especially with the
grow.
special and practical effects they have now.
Mhm.
Yeah,
There's a lot more they can
absolutely.
do with it visually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Why don't more infant formula companies use organic, grass-fed whole milk instead of skim? Why don't more infant formula companies use the latest breast milk science? Why don't more infant formula companies run their own clinical trials? Why don't more infant formula companies use more of the proteins found in breast milk? Why don't more infant formula companies have their own factories instead of outsourcing their manufacturing? We wondered the same thing. So we made ByHeart, an infant formula company on a mission to get a lot closer to the most superfood on the planet, breast milk. Our patented protein blend has more of the important and most abundant proteins actually found in breast milk. We're the first and only US-made formula to use organic, grass-fed whole milk, not skim. We even conducted the largest clinical trial by a new infant formula company in a quarter century, with clinically proven benefits like easier digestion, less spit up, and softer poops versus a leading infant formula. And we make our own formula in the USA and our very own factories in Iowa, Oregon, and Pennsylvania. ByHeart, a better formula for formula. Learn more at byheart.com.
And so, yeah, we have. I think what happens next. She gets attacked by Linda, right? And she's now a fully animated, not animated.
Yeah,
but
because we get our first shaky shot of the demon approaching the cabin,
Mhm.
and
God,
it
I love that.
Yeah.
blows through the window,
And then she's like,
"Ah!"
yeah,
and gets
sucked out.
I'm
basically.
guessing because she disappears,
Yeah,
and then she's outside, and then that's when Ash goes out to go find her, and she's just like, "Ah."
yeah. She's a deadite
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, she is a deadite.
She's a
Yeah.
deadite, and she starts
Yeah.
attacking him, and then he has to, like pop her head off, like we saw
Cuts
in
her
the
head off
first
with a
movie.
shovel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And
one
then
one fell swoop.
Mhm.
and then it just
Yeah.
goes in the air, and then he has to bury her.
Right.
But then that's whenever she ends up, she comes back, right? Because then he has to, her head comes back, and it starts biting his
Yeah.
head.
So.
Yeah, here in a little bit.
Yeah, that's in a little bit. He sees her
yeah.
out the window. Yeah, doing her ballerina
My bad.
dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's whenever
It was
okay.
all happening so fast.
It was.
My notes were, I was like, damn, that was
And
really
then- and
fast.
then-
Like,
and then-
Linda's already dead? Okay.
Hey.
But my
Yeah.
bad, yeah, because this is where I guess officially the second movie kicks off, because then he's flying through the
Yeah.
woods,
Yeah.
through the trees and all that, but then ends up at the same exact spot.
Yeah, for
Or-
the most part.
Because
Yeah.
he's still in
he
front
ends
of
up
the cabin.
He ends up in that puddle, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
he,
this
Yeah.
the
wakes
first-
up in the puddle.
wakes
Because
up
then
in
I
the
like
puddle.
how the camera like spins out and he's like wakes up and it's like
So
this
that is one of
puddle.
my favorite things about this whole movie. And
This shot was so funny,
Yeah,
too.
what made me like a Raimi fan
Mhm.
is I love the quick shots,
Mhm.
like when he's putting the arm thing together.
Yeah.
I like just boom, 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 one
Mhm.
shot,
Yeah.
one shot, and then the shot that you're talking about through the woods.
Yeah.
That is so cool. It was just everybody's just kind of
The way his head
Yeah.
was
Oh,
flopping
yeah.
about was so
Yeah.
unnatural. I was like,
Yeah.
"Ooh."
Yeah.
That's a little, I was like,
It just
"Homeboy's
shows
His
neck
body
could be
movement is really
broken."
good as an actor.
Well, it just shows
Bruce
you how
Campbell.
creepy you can be with just regular stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to go overboard.
all the gimmicks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it did a really cool job. And then the effects were so much better this time
Yeah.
Mhm.
than the original.
Sure.
Because whenever he wakes up from the puddle,
And he's like all possessed.
he's all possessed and his face is like, protruding and
Mhm.
stuff, and his eyes are all sunken in and purple. He looked pretty cool, pretty
Yeah.
That's
scary.
a really good job they did of making him look like you knew from where he started and where he is. Like they didn't even have to say it. You knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Right. Just by those effects. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the sun comes out, and just like in Demon Slayer, that's
Just like clears it all away.
Mhm.
the demons burn up in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't, but
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
went hiding.
Yeah.
Well, I like to think that he wasn't totally possessed at that point.
Yeah,
right?
did
Like
it,
they tried to get to him, and the sun came up in time, and
Yeah.
that was anyway.
And I
Well,
think
it's kind
he
of like
also
later on as well.
has-
He gets possessed
Yeah.
at a certain point
Yeah,
too, and
sure.
then it gets out of him.
It kind of reminds me of like the Sunken Place
Mm-hmm.
and Get Out,
Mm-hmm.
when like the people are able to come through again and like they're able to fight and kind of push that other
at certain
being
times,
down
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And so I'm wondering if he was able, like his consciousness was strong enough to like be like, get the fuck out, demon.
Mhm.
Maybe.
And then like especially whenever it had those ties, like because he saw the necklace and started crying
Mm-hmm.
and stuff.
That's
and
what
then
brought
that
him back.
Brought him back.
Yeah, like his emotion.
And then same with, now it didn't quite work, but it did distract Henrietta enough whenever Annie started singing Rockabye Baby.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And stuff too. So I think the demon doesn't have complete hold over their bodies
Mhm. Mhm.
at that moment.
Mhm.
And then they're able to like resurface.
Well, I
for
think
a
you
moment.
saw a little bit of that in Evil Dead Rise too.
Like their humanity.
Like people would be
popping through.
partially possessed, and then maybe they'd come back, and then it would fully get them.
She'd be like,
you know,
don't,
that
don't,
sort of
don't
thing.
let it take my babies.
Like the one in the kitchen, like eating the
Mhm.
glass and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, I felt like that person was, and then wasn't, then was again. You know.
Yeah.
like it when my tummies have the creepy crawly.
That's your favorite. And so he ends up waking up, and he's sitting in a chair in the cabin. And
Yeah.
at this point, you're thinking like, wait, was that real? Was that not?
Mhm.
But
also,
then,
can we
yeah.
talk about all the position changes he had while sleeping in that
Oh, yeah.
puddle?
Yeah.
Because I was like, man is sleeping hard
Yeah.
with how many times he's changed positions now for someone
He's
who's
in
supposed
that
to be
deep sleep.
unconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
REM.
because he changed positions like 4 times,
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
and I was like, well,
I think it's all about
Plotting.
just the creepy movement, you know,
Yeah.
and just the making you feel uncomfortable about what's going on.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because maybe it wasn't even him moving.
it's the
Demon
demons.
forces moving.
Could be.
him. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But he wakes up and he's in the cabin, and at this point, I think he's even thinking like, "What the fuck's going on?" And then we have Linda's head just pop falling from the sky and into his lap.
Oh,
Yeah.
and we got the demon face on the house.
That's
Saying,
true.
join us.
Like
they
the-
like to do those apparitions a bunch
Yeah.
in this one.
Yeah.
It's like the whole front of the house became the demon
Yeah.
and was
Mhm.
like, join us.
Well, it's so cool, like where the windows are. I mean, and then from that time when they put the demon's face over the house, you
Mhm.
can't really look at the house and not think, "Oh, that's a scary fucking place." You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
Amityville.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
already
yeah,
got eerie
absolutely.
vibes
Yeah,
to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot like that.
And it almost makes a face itself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
by being itself.
Well,
yeah.
as humans, we have that thing where we look for faces
Mhm.
anyway, you know, and so yeah.
And then before he ends up back in the chair, he also, the sun starts going down and the demon's like chasing him and he drives. The bridge is destroyed once again.
That's
Just
true.
like
All
it was in
curled
the
up.
first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like it looks
Yeah.
like it reminded me of Anastasia, the animated film,
Yeah.
whenever the train is rushing and then that big goblin like
Yeah.
just shoots through and the train tracks go like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that.
I've never seen Anastasia, but yeah. I
Oh,
feel you.
really?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
It's been
it's
a
so
very
good.
long time.
It's one of my
But
favorite
yeah,
films.
I forgot because his over dramatic, like, no.
On
Yeah.
the
He's good
yeah.
at
At the,
that.
with the bridge, yeah. Whenever
And
he's
you
like,
get that little shot of him when
Yeah.
he's so little.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And he almost looked fake. He almost looked like he wasn't a real
I
person
wonder how
in
they
that
shot
shot.
that. I don't know. Maybe it was
Maybe they just got on
miniature
the next mountain.
scale.
I think everything was miniature scale, and then they put him on top of it, like, you know, be able to mask around him, so
Mhm.
it just shows him like standing there. Yeah, but I think all of it's probably models.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
They used a drone.
he is going and he starts driving afterwards once the demon
Mhm.
starts coming up to
Oh,
him again.
yeah.
And he's like driving backwards
Yeah.
and then he whips the car around and then he crashes the car and is ejected from the window.
He's not a great
Yeah.
driver.
No,
No.
he
It
just
goes right through. He should have died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he remarkably gets right up and is like,
But again, it's cartoon physics. you
Yeah.
know? It's cartoon physics.
yeah, he had the Acme.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
On his
That's right.
head.
Yeah, the Acme windshield.
And
yeah.
then just kept going.
Yeah.
Um,
And then this is whenever he wakes up and then starts running and gets chased all the way through the cabin.
Mhm.
yes,
And it's that
which
really cool
this
shot
is
that you like.
I really liked this shot. I
Mhm.
thought this shot was super neat
Where
because it
it's
was
chasing
just
him through the house.
yeah, one long shot.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it was
Yeah.
just like following him through and it felt really in the moment. It was really
Yeah.
cool. I liked it.
And then he shook him off and hid in the cellar.
Yeah.
I was also thinking, like, how do you shake off an evil entity? Like, how do you lose it? How does
Yeah, and the demon gives up so quickly.
Yeah, it's just like,
okay,
yeah,
he's
and
gone.
then kind of goes back.
The way I think about that is like, we're on the 21st floor here in this building, and people always ask like the crickets. There's still crickets up here, like at this time of year, right? And then my answer is always that the crickets have all day. This is all they do, right? Is climb to a thing. Well, same deal with demons, right? Is the way I like to think of it. Like they're just biding their time. They'll be fine. They'll get him later.
Yeah,
So they're like, screw it, we'll get him later.
Yeah. I feel you.
We'll come back when he's easy to find.
Yeah, that's exactly it. When his defenses are down.
Yeah.
Just like COVID.
Very much so.
I'm just kidding.
R.I.P. And so,
R.I.P.
I mean,
I got you.
The numbers speak for themselves.
Sure.
That's true.
So he ends up
the only episode to be taken down.
Right, we're getting flagged. But we have at this point, I think it cuts because he gets up going. He's hiding in the cellar, right? But then it cuts to Miss Annie arriving on the plane.
Up,
yeah. And she's meeting Ed, right? That's his name.
I
Ed?
called him boyfriend.
She means business. I'm telling you. She is.
Already off the bat, like getting off.
Yeah, here I go.
She's just like, here's the pages. Like I found this, and like I got to meet up mom and dad.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking parents because she was meeting her parents there. Not, I guess, because they just chose that cabin to be at secluded. But we have.
Well, that's where they used to go to have a little vacation or whatever, and then they were doing their translations and all the stuff. Yeah.
So that does make a lot more sense. And so they end up. I love how whenever they're getting to the car and he's like, what did you find? And she's like, probably nothing or a portal to another realm.
It's one or the other.
Yeah.
It's either nothing or something big.
Literally. But then we're back with Ash at the cabin, and then I think this is what I was talking about.
Playing by itself, and he's having an emotional moment for Linda.
Yeah.
And he's like sitting there like crying. And then all of a sudden we look out the window, we hear like this sing-songy music start playing, and then Linda's hand go
yeah, she's back.
And then she just crawls out of the grave
Very
and her
Carrie-esque.
And then she's just dancing around like a little ballerina.
Yeah, and it's
no head,
and it's fake, and it's goofy looking, and all that stuff. But for me, that just adds to the. I was a big stop motion fan, like a lot of those dinosaur movies and Jason and the Argonauts and all that kind of stuff. I was a big fan of that. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's a bold choice.
Back
cool.
then, was that like no, I don't want to say newer thing, but was it seem as not exciting or cool, or was it like more of like claymation and stuff like that?
Yeah, claymation was not cool in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Claymation started. I want to say like 40s, 50s. I mean, it's that old, right? Is when how they used to do things.
Yeah.
But 1987, no, I think the technology had caught up, and you could have done it with practical effects. I think, again, like I say, I think it was more of a nod to De Laurentiis than anything else.
It was their choice, specifically.
It's probably cheaper too.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she was doing pretty good. She was dancing,
time.
and then the head came on, but the body was still spinning, but the head was still looking at him.
That was pretty cool. I like that.
You can't do that with a real person. I don't know, not specifically.
You might be able to take their head off. Who knows?
Just kill him.
A dummy head, something.
I mean, they made The Exorcist head spin around.
Sure,
so
that's true.
There are ways. I don't know.
There are ways, and that came out first.
There are ways.
And so I love how she's like, dance with me.
Yeah.
And so and then at that point, I guess it seems like a fever dream because he just wakes up in the chair. This is the part where I was thinking about, my bad. And he wakes up in that chair. And
he thinks he's going nuts at this point.
Because she like flies away, and then she pops up and is like, dance with me, and then starts slamming his head into the wood. She's just like, gah, 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 to him. And so at that point, he's got to be a little disoriented too.
Well, and even that one, like it's the fakey looking hands that are smacking his head up against the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why I bought into that, but I loved it. So
I thought it was fun. I really had a good time watching this movie.
So also, I want you to think of this. Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell and the other friends, which one of them is Sam Raimi's brother, who's in a lot of his stuff also. They were huge fans of the Three Stooges.
Oh, that makes sense.
And so
Yeah.
when you think of Three Stooges and then you think of a horror movie, this is pretty much the equivalent of a Three
Yeah.
Stooges episode. Yeah.
His brother played Henrietta.
Yeah, his brother's been in a ton of
I
his
was
stuff.
certain
Yeah.
that Henrietta was a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, Henrietta looks
like a man
exactly
as a
like
Deadeye. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, apparently Sam Raimi too lived in a house at that time with like a whole bunch of other like famous people that like included like Kathy Bates and like,
Really?
like a
I
few
didn't know
other
that.
like when they were all young and
Yeah.
actors and aspiring and like working and hustling at that point.
I think they've done okay for themselves.
Yeah.
All of them.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then what Kathy Bates breakout was Misery, I feel like, right? Which was
Kathy
kind of
Bates
like
had been in a lot of stuff, but
horror
Misery was
adjacent.
definitely one that I remember her from.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a great movie too.
have you seen that one?
No.
No.
Stephen King?
It's
Misery?
Stephen
No.
King.
Yeah.
Mhm. She basically
Very
is
good.
like a
Super
stalker,
fan.
super fan,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
kidnaps a book writer and then like does a whole bunch. Yeah, it's
Think,
pretty good.
Think
Oh.
Swim Fan, but a good movie.
Mhm.
Swim fan.
I
You ever
don't-
seen
I haven't
Swim
seen
Fan?
No.
Really?
I don't know what that is.
Oh man, come on! There's this
Uh-huh.
girl who's a swimmer, and she gets like this person who's just
Stalker.
completely stalking her. Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Well, it seems cool.
How about Single White Female?
No.
That's another one of them
Uh-uh.
that's like stalky esque.
It sounds like a Sharon Stone film.
Single White Female is I don't know, one of the girls that was in
Michelle
St.
Pfeiffer.
Elmo's Fire and that sort of.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry, this
No,
is not
you're
at all
good.
what you brought me in here for. but
No,
go.
it's okay. We always end up on tangents about other things that
Sure.
are not the movie.
Sure.
But where
That's what makes it fun.
were we at?
So
Where-
this is the room where everything starts laughing at him, right? Is that where we're at this
Not
point?
quite yet.
Okay.
Not
okay.
quite
We're
yet.
not there.
Because her head pops up and then it's like fucking with him and making fun of him and then she bites his hand and
Oh
he's
yeah, yeah,
freaking
yeah.
out
Yeah.
and like trying to beat her head off every which way he can and
Which-
she's like biting even harder.
Yeah.
It feels like a hermit crab. Have you ever had
Yeah.
a hermit
Oh,
crab
yeah.
pinch you?
Sure.
It does not let go.
Yeah.
And the more you try to get it off, the like harder it pinches.
Yeah. Or like a Chinese finger trap or
Oh, yeah.
whatever, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
You just can't get it
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
I've never for fear of getting them stuck, I've never
Really?
even put one on.
Oh yeah.
I've never messed with one.
You got to
before.
do that.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had to rip them off of me
Yes.
before,
Absolutely.
where I've had to like.
Sure. It like starts coming apart. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, I don't know why this thing was ever invented, to be
Mm.
honest with you. Yeah. But yeah, she's biting on his hand, and so
Yeah.
that's how his hand starts getting possessed.
Yeah, how it gets transformed. But this
Yeah.
is whenever he I love how he's like trying to get it off every which way, and then like he just like says out loud, like
Work
for the
shed.
audience, he's like work shed, and then we're just like, okay, we're going to the work shed, and then every which way just is stumbling,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I
does
know.
a spin,
I almost was like, sir, get it together.
yeah.
I know
Yeah.
you're getting bit right now, but
Sure.
come on.
And then every time he's smacking her on a tree outside, she's like biting him even more.
Yeah.
And I love how she's even making like
Yeah.
like noises.
She loves the taste of his hand.
Yeah, and then finally he gets her to the shed, and that's whenever he gets her head clamped on the thing.
He's looking- yeah.
whatever those things are.
On a vice.
Vice,
Yeah,
yeah.
a vice.
Gets her
Mhm.
clamped.
Yeah.
She lets go, and she's like, "Linda's soul was rotting in hell with us. You know,
Mhm.
we've got her." And I think that's whenever he looks at the chainsaw thing, and the chainsaw's missing.
Yeah,
first.
chainsaws.
The demons don't they cut right to the chase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's in hell, right?
Yeah, we've got her.
There's no
Yeah,
no
later
vagueness.
on, later on, she says your love was a lie, and now she burns in hell.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn,
Yeah, it's rough.
they're savage.
They're pretty. They are. They hit every which way they can, and she, her body, Linda's body starts running in
Comes
with the
in
chainsaw.
wielding it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then started
and it's just like
attacking, yeah.
rubber. Yeah, just
Every which way. And then I love how he gets it to turn around, and then it like cuts her in half. But then, and then I really liked how the blood was like getting
Yeah.
everywhere, and they got him
Yeah.
the light bulb, so then like the room turned red.
Yeah.
But then she starts attacking him, and I'm like. It made no sense to me how he did not get cut up in any which way as
Sure.
he's like fumbling with
Sure.
her all over the place. But obviously,
It's cartoon.
Cartoon.
That's it.
it's
You
a
got
cartoon.
it.
Say it with me,
You
folks.
got it.
It's a cartoon.
It's a cartoon.
And so then he finally he's able to get the chainsaw off of her, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
He pries it off.
Mhm.
And then he chops her head up.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
Oh,
I'm
not before.
sorry.
Yeah, not before she's like, no, wait, don't. You said you promised we'd be together forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just like, ah,
Yeah.
chops her head off.
Chops.
Yeah. And I think
You have
there's-
crossed a line whenever
Mhm.
you're willing to chop up your girl's
Oh
head.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've definitely crossed a line.
And then we have the way that they shot it too, like you don't actually see him doing it because
No.
Sam Raimi wanted to try to not get like TVMA or whatever
X.
is rating X.
It would have been an X at the time, yeah.
Well, it ended up being unrated because he couldn't even get the R rating.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. What did they do? What did they say? They're just like, we don't even want to.
So I think this was even before PG-13. Like PG-13 was a thing that happened in my life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the ratings happened before I was born, but after, like, I think it's late 80s, early 90s is when PG-13 came out.
I didn't even know that.
I think Woman in Red was the first, or Lady in Red was the first movie. That's Gene Wilder comedy. And I think that was the first one that was PG-13. Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, at the time,
it was either like G or rated R.
Yeah, an X rating would doom your movie. Like
nobody would go watch it.
Nobody would release it. You couldn't show it anywhere.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, unless you wanted a bunch of perverts watching it. You know, then you could show it there, but that you're not making any money.
Yeah.
So an unrated movie is better than an X-rated movie.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
and I'm sorry.
No, you're
And
good.
also back then, X was not the same as triple X. Like there was X and there was triple X. So triple X was your adult content.
Like,
X was maybe there's some adult content. There's a lot of blood. There's a lot of violence. There's so
bad
much
language.
stuff.
Yeah. Mild, coarse language.
Yeah.
Not even mild. Yeah.
Nudity.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Nudity was okay, but you could only have so much of it. And then after a while, you crossed a threshold and you were an X.
Well, it's like even nowadays, you can
Tasteful.
only have like so many F-bombs and all
Yes.
that kind of stuff in
Yes.
films or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, which is wild to me because it's like there's the internet. People
Sure.
are watching that shit
Sure.
everywhere, regardless of film.
Well,
I guess
entertainment's not famous for keeping up. So
that's true.
Things like that take a while.
And so after cutting up Linda's head and everything, he goes back in the house, right? He goes back in here and
back in the cabin. He chooses. He finds a gun, which he'll use throughout the movie as well. And then the rocking chair starts moving on its own.
That's right.
And
he tries
he
to go stop it.
Touches it, and it stops. And then we get one of my other favorite scenes, which is this mirror scene. I thought it was super cool.
Yeah, because
And-
his head is like hurting and he's like, looks like he's out of it and he's looking at himself in the mirror and then the mirror does the thing where it's like,
it comes through and grabs him because he keeps repeating, I'm fine. And then the thing comes through and he's like, I don't think so. We just cut up our girlfriend with the chainsaw. Does that sound fine?
yeah.
And I was
That's
like,
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because if you
Got a
remember in the
point.
first one, they did that ripple effect in the mirror, the watery effect. So this is like even more advanced. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And then that's whenever we see that his hand starts getting all the like black veins on it and it's transforming into I guess a deadite hand or
So it's starting to infect him from the bite, right?
Yeah.
So I think of it as like a zombie bite.
yeah.
You know, like even on Walking Dead or something, as long
Yeah,
as you
they
cut it off in
cut it
time.
off.
Yeah.
before
you can
it
still
gets
survive
all
it.
the way in your
Yeah.
to
bloodstream.
your heart or whatever.
Yeah,
your
and
brain.
kills you.
And so he's getting attacked by it because it's
Didn't
choking
they cut
him
off
out.
Herschel's arm?
Yes.
They cut off a lot of people's.
Cut off a
Or
lot of
leg.
people's everything.
I think it was
yeah,
his
it was
leg.
legs. Yeah, it was leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it reminds me of, have you ever seen World War Z?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever he cuts her arm off,
Yeah.
Mm.
hand off, and
Yeah.
it saves her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one's
It's
funnier.
exactly like that.
Yeah. That's
This one's way funnier.
Fast Zombies. It's
Yeah, fast zombies are a different thing.
yeah.
Now, if you're talking like, what is it, 28 Days Later? That's good because they don't say they're zombies. They say it's a rage virus.
yeah.
And so
it's
I'm
different.
okay with the zombies running at that point. Other than that, zombies are slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're methodical. It's like the mummy.
Yeah.
You know, who the hell is scared of the mummy? Well, if you stand in one place long enough, you ought to be scared
He'll
of the mummy.
get ya.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Come find you. But yeah, now Ash's hand is
Turning on him.
Oh,
Yeah.
and this is also where we get the weird interaction between Annie and the tow truck driver.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
What's his name again?
I do not remember.
Jack.
I don't remember his name.
Okay, I'm gonna call him
But,
tow truck
tow
driver.
truck
Tow
driver.
truck man.
Jake.
truck
Jake.
man.
Jake.
Jake.
Jake. Yes, Jake. Because
Jake from
that's
State Farm.
yeah.
And we
Let me
meet
go down.
Bobby Joe.
Bobby Joe. Yeah.
And
Because they're at the
Bobby Joe.
bridge.
her boyfriend. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bobby Joe is
Yeah.
her name. And they're like, actually, there is another way in. There's a trail we
Mhm.
can take.
But it will cost you.
Yep. And
Mhm.
she's like, that's great. Carry my bags and we'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, he's like, I thought it was going to be those 2 goddamn small bags.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he's got the fucking trunk on
You got
his
a big
back.
steamer
Kind
trunk.
of bit of
yeah.
an
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah.
And then at this point, at the same time, Ash is getting beat up in the house by his hand. And he's kind of
Yeah.
going back and forth. And
It's
then,
going ham on him.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of kicking his ass.
I know.
And
it was
then-
breaking all those dishes on his head.
Mhm.
I was like, damn.
Again, Three
It's pretty
Stooges.
long. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because it's it's a pretty decent chunk of time that he's like spinning, fighting his own hand.
Yeah.
And then he ends up cutting it off with the chainsaw, which
does.
is pretty savage. I mean, yeah,
'Cause
it's
it
giving
was
Saw.
carrying his body towards like a meat cleaver.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
was gonna like.
I'm not
kill
sure
him, I
how those
guess.
physics work. You know, that your own hand is pulling you towards something.
whole body.
You're
Yeah,
unconscious,
sure.
dead weight.
Yeah,
Like
that's right.
just new.
But I've never been possessed by a demon,
Yeah.
as far as I
That's
know.
true.
So, you know,
I
who
think
knows?
that's like 10 times strength
be.
immediately.
yeah.
Yeah.
Strength of an ant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. But he ends up cutting it off. And then I think that's whenever we go back to the people on the trail and they're looking and they have the flashlights that are coming through. But then we have Ash back at the house and his hand he's still now fighting his hand that is its own entity running around.
I like how he locks his hand up in the bucket.
Yeah.
And puts
puts
just
the
a few books on it.
And the book said something about
It's
arm.
a farewell to arms.
Yeah,
Is
farewell to
the name of
arms.
one of the books.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it's able to get loose.
And
gets
it flips
free.
him off
Yeah.
at some point,
Yeah.
too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's running
It's
around
just
and
so
it goes through like a
goofy.
mouse hole or
Yeah.
a little hole in the
And
wall.
I love
Gets
the
caught in a mouse trap.
I
Yeah.
love the sounds that it makes. It's like, you know, just
At
all
one
over
point,
the house.
whenever it flips him off, it actually you can hear it say "fuck you."
He's like, yeah.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it goes into the wall and he starts just shooting holes into the wall. And then finally he thinks he gets it.
Yeah.
But little blood starts coming through the wall. But then
And
like
it starts to like.
Then all the blood.
blasted
Yeah.
by the blood. Yeah.
There's a few
So I wonder how they did that.
blood-soaking scenes.
And where
in
does all the
this.
blood go?
Yeah,
It goes out and then it
sucks
gets
back
sucked
in.
back in.
Yeah.
But then it turns like it's more like dark and like visceral looking.
But he is
like-
just covered.
Oh, yeah.
He's covered.
and then it
It
goes
doesn't
back into
pull
the
off
hole.
of him.
No.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever I think he goes even more mad, right? Because he starts, or is this the laughing scene?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So the taxidermy deer starts being like,
Yeah. With its
And
weird mouth
possessed.
that doesn't move right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like
Mhm.
hinged.
Yeah.
And then the lamp starts laughing. Then everything's laughing. The books are laughing. The couch
He's
is laughing. He's laughing. Yeah, everyone starts.
Yeah, it's
Just
giving
laughing.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
All the furniture is just laughing,
Coming to life.
coming to
There you
life.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think then that's whenever he starts going into like his maniacal, crazy laughter. Because I think I don't know if it's the possession or if he's just losing it himself.
He's just losing it.
right?
I think he's
Yeah,
just
because he's just
losing
like
it.
going crazy, and then he starts like dancing with the lamp.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's
Um,
like,
Yeah,
Yeah, he's gone nuts.
but
yeah.
I don't remember what triggers him to start shooting against. The hand comes back, or
he hears a noise.
he hears a noise.
He
and
hears
then
a
just
noise
starts-
on the door and he
Yeah.
just shoots through the door.
because it's
and
Bobby Joe and them and
Accidentally
Annie.
shoots Bobby Joe. Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
then-
we get a straight up murder right in
Yeah.
the middle of the movie. Yeah.
right? Because then Jake and Ed bust through, and then they start just attacking him and getting him on the ground. And Bobby Joe comes in after Annie, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Yeah, I guess it just grazed her shoulder
Yeah.
or
It
It
something.
did. Yeah.
yeah."
But-
and then immediately Annie looks at the chainsaw on the floor with the blood, and she then goes psycho on him because she's like, "What did you do to them?" Because I
Yeah.
guess she thinks he killed her parents.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is when they all decide they're like, lock him in the cellar.
Mhm.
So they throw him down the cellar, and this is where all the stairs break.
Yeah.
And as Jake is throwing him down, he was like, "You flat mouth son of a bitch." And I was
Flat mouth son of a
What
What does
bitch.
that
that even mean?
It's all ad
It doesn't mean anything. It's just
It
stupid.
was all ad libbed, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Flat
I
mouth
just
son
thought
of a
it was
bitch.
so funny. I was like,
You start calling people flat mouths.
"You flat
Yeah.
mouth son
Doesn't
of a
mean
bitch."
anything.
I guess. I don't know. I don't even know.
Tiny
Flat
lips,
mouth.
I guess.
Maybe.
Skinny lips.
But they're looking for, at this point, Annie's looking for her mom and dad, I believe, right? And they're
Yeah.
going through the house. Ed's with her, and she finds the like tape recorder and all that stuff, and the tapes of her dad speaking on there.
Yeah, about the Kandarian demons.
Mhm.
And she's basically finding out that Henrietta, her mom, is dead.
Yeah,
And she can only assume that her father is going to be dead soon, too.
yeah. And it doesn't take long because then we're introduced to Henrietta. She's down there with Ash, and she starts revealing herself.
fruit cellar.
And immediately he's just like, "Oh my god!" Like his reaction is so funny to me,
I
as
laughed
he's
so much.
freaking out and then back up the stairs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then she's pretty freaky herself. Creepy.
She is.
A little
yeah.
gross.
Yeah,
Little gross.
Little
yeah,
gross.
that's the,
Little
like
gross.
it gives like on it the remake when the leper thing
Yeah.
was coming towards
Mm,
what's his name?
mhm.
Yeah. That's
Towards Ed's mom and towards Eddie.
Eddie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we get Dead by Dawn, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Swallow Your Soul, Dead, by Dawn, all that. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I used to work in video stores when they were still a thing, and also owned 3 little video stores at one point. And I used to take home all of the like stand-ups or mobiles or whatever stuff they would send us for the movies. And I had one that was Evil Dead 2. It was just a skull and it said Dead by Dawn on it. And it would like spin or whatever.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
You didn't keep it.
No, that's really awesome.
No, I think
RP. Is that your biggest regret?
Well, after movie.
No, I've got a lot of regrets. That's not the biggest one. Yeah, absolutely. Probably did something worse than that this morning.
Oh, yeah, that's life. And so he obviously is freaking out down there with Henrietta coming after him.
Yeah.
And then they end up pulling him out after like he's begging them to. And I think what Jake doesn't want to. And then Annie's like, let him out. And so they end up getting him out. And then that's
just in time. I mean, Henrietta's like biting Ash's foot.
Yeah.
It's like just chewing on it.
Right on him. Yeah.
And then she like transforms into this like dinosaur looking
with a long
monster.
neck.
Yeah, it's got a long neck. And she's like
starts biting
more
on him.
claymation.
Yeah. And then does Ed get bit at a certain point? Or he gets knocked down, right?
Who's Ed? The boyfriend?
The blonde guy.
Okay.
The blonde haired boy.
Yeah, I'm thinking he must have been bit or something.
Yeah.
Or the demon just jumped from Henrietta to
that makes sense. Just possessing him.
Yeah, put part of its demon self
He
into
is
him.
probably the best looking demon in all of it, though.
Yeah.
They made him look fantastic. Like when he's up on the thing and he's doing
like
with his hands all raised up and all creepy.
Yeah.
Oh,
he looked cool.
And then in that process that I guess he got knocked over a bit, they're trying to push the demon back down, and this is whenever we get the head getting squished and the eyeball popping out and going into Bobby Joe's mouth.
Well, she just won't put her head down.
Which was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was.
And they eventually, thankfully, get her locked down there. But they're all like, I think, freaking out, and Annie, I think, wants to leave, but I think Bruce is saying like we can't leave or something. Like everything's the bridge is
the bridge is out, everything's done.
Latrell's not there, and then that's whenever her mother starts singing to her.
Yeah,
the nursery rhyme.
Hush, bye, baby.
Hush, baby, don't say a word.
Yeah, Mama's
it's a mockingbird.
Yeah.
Trying to trick her, but then Ash. I love how Ash is like stopped her. Like that's not her.
He becomes like a traffic cop.
Yeah. And then I mean, quickly she's just like, "You're not my mother." And you never were. And then this is when the dude gets possessed, and he like gets up in the air and starts doing like the spinning, and he's like Dead by Dawn, and starts singing it with Henrietta. And he goes and then like bites off
Bobby Joe's hair.
Which is really weird.
It's a big chunk of hair.
And then he eats it.
It's like,
he like starts like. Looks like when my cats start choking on their hair.
Oh no!
That's what he was doing.
But thankfully, Ash comes to, and he gets up and he knocks him down or cuts his head off or something like that.
Yeah, starts hacking off his limbs.
And they start flying everywhere. Yeah.
And then his blood's all green.
It's gooey.
Yeah. It's like slime.
Like an ooze that comes from the wall. And then we have Jake looking outside, and this is when he mentions that the trail is gone. He's like, it's as if the woods sucked it up. And
the woods are bad news.
Well, and then I think later on, even when Ash is like, if she went outside, she's good as dead. And they're hearing lots of bangs and like thunder sounds and crashing from the room on the other side behind the door.
Well, and I think they even comment on it. It's like something's trying to get in, from another world or whatever.
She says at one point, Annie's like, it's so quiet. And then all of a sudden, it's just like sounds everywhere. I was like, bitch, you cued it.
I love the head turns. Like, boom, boom.
Yeah, boom. I was wondering.
They would follow those sounds around with their
because
head,
it was all like kind of longer shots too. So I was like, they must have cued him on like, they must have had to practice. Like,
they had to.
Because the head turns were so exact. That unless it was just legitimate.
It was choreographed.
But it looked so in sync. It was just like.
They did a great job.
That's pretty cool. And then we have them, I love how they're like, Ash is like, okay, let's go check it out. We'll all go together. And Jake's like, you go. You're the curious one.
He's like, hell no.
I don't blame him. I would have said you go too.
Right?
Yeah. And then Annie's like, I'll go with you.
Yeah. Him and Annie go. And they go into the room. But then Jake and Bobby Joe end up coming in anyways.
Yeah. And then we get Annie's father's ghost showing up, his little apparition. and he's basically seeing like you got to find the other pages. Saves
Recite the
says
passages.
salvation lies there in the pages that she found, and you have to recite them to dispel the evil.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever Bobby Joe is like, Jake, you're holding my hand too hard.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not holding your hand. And we find out it's Ash's dead
It's Ash's hand, yeah.
Ash's
Starts
hand.
freaking everybody out.
And then
as
that,
well it should.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the lights go out, so that makes it even worse.
and then
And then
she just goes running.
She bolts out.
and screaming, and then she's just running and screaming, and all of a sudden she stops. She's just like,
Makes no sense.
it's like, I'm fine now.
Yeah.
and
And then gets attacked,
Then
kind
gets
of like
attacked
the
by the
same
tree.
way in the first movie, but not so.
then
SA. And so we have her getting dragged horribly through the woods, which I'm sure probably sucks. I bet her
pulling her across the forest
back
floor,
had a
hitting
lot
all
of
those,
splinters and the puddles of water and all the
Yeah,
branches.
hitting all the, what are
cool
those called?
shots,
Tree
though.
roots.
Yeah.
Cool shots. Though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I like how all the roots were like intertwining around her too. It was pretty cool.
And like becoming almost a part of her face.
mhm.
They
Yeah.
were like
Like, rooted
going
in.
Poking
into her
and
skin.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love how they end up breaking the pages out of the glass box that they're in, and Ash is
Which I
talking
was
to
like,
Jake.
why did they have to break them out? Like, I'm sure there was a little.
They didn't have time.
No,
We gotta do this
dramatic
now.
effects,
Let's go.
yeah. Especially in the middle of Bobby Joe's
Break in
like,
case of emergency.
It's like what transitions the whole shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. And then we have Jake, whatchamacallit, being like, we need to go find Bobby Joe. And then that's whenever Ash is like, she's as good as gone if she's out there.
Yeah. If she went out in those woods, you
She
can
gone.
forget about her.
Yeah. And then they end up talking about how the passages Annie translates it. And one passage is to bring the evil into a physical form. And then the second is to then open up a rift to send the physical form back through it and get rid of it.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense, but seems like a big risk.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
None
so,
of this makes any sense,
no,
but
it's
sure.
a cartoon.
Yeah, it is.
And so Jake, then this is one of my favorite parts because I'm like the audacity of Jake to then just be like at gunpoint, like, this is a bunch of crazy talk.
Yeah.
This is mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
We're gonna do what I want to do and go look for Annie.
Yeah.
And then
I
that's
mean,
when he
Bobby
steals
Joe.
the papers
Yeah.
and then throws them in the cellar, in which I was just like, why the fuck would you throw them in the cellar and not the fire?
Yeah, that was right behind
But-
him. Mhm.
Yeah. But we need them later.
Yeah.
So he makes them go out into the woods. The trees are all like moaning and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then the freaking not Bobby Joe, but Jake,
Yeah, he's screaming her name
tow
out.
truck man, is like sitting there screaming,
It's giving Jurassic
and
Park.
attracting
Oh, yeah.
all
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
demons. And then the demons come and they get Ash.
Yeah, they kind of bypass Jake and get into Ash, and then Ash also to me at this point looked really good too as a demon,
Mhm.
in his demon.
Well, they both
form.
had that
Like
the same
waxy
look. Yeah,
almost,
yeah,
like-
waxy, big protruding
Cheekbones.
cheekbones and stuff. Yeah.
almost like attractive demon. Like I don't know if that. I'm sorry. Ooh,
He
never
wore
mind.
some.
No, they weren't attractive.
Wait, unattractive demon? Is that what you
No,
just said?
attractive, like
Okay.
sexy
Yeah.
demon.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like they
Yeah.
just look
Okay.
like pretty demons, if that makes sense.
Pretty demons.
as
sure.
opposed to like the other Deadites that we've been seeing and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
well,
that look
yeah,
all like
opposed
atrocious
to like Henrietta.
and like oily
Yeah.
and splotchy.
Yeah.
But
No,
yes,
they look like they mean business.
they
Yeah.
do. And then one, they also look stronger for some reason. I don't know what it is. But
Yeah.
he's then throws Jake, and then Jake's head goes into a tree, which I don't know how Jake didn't die from that
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah, it's just bonk.
Yeah, but cartoons. And then he then starts going after Annie, but she's able to get inside, isn't she?
Yeah. And she
Uh-huh.
conveniently finds this ceremonial looking knife.
Oh yeah, the dagger.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then she's.
Conveniently.
It was
Yeah.
so like
Oh, I
it was
know.
just like all of a sudden it's
Yeah.
laying there and
Oh,
she's like,
yeah.
oh, I'll take this.
Oh wait,
Yes.
this thing made out of someone's spine. I'll take
Spine,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's been like whittled down
Yeah.
to a sharp point. Yeah. It just I was like, okay, that's
It's a shank.
Yeah.
bizarre.
That is a shank.
Yeah.
But she finds
shank.
that and ends up accidentally stabbing Tow Truck Man in the stomach
Sucks.
whenever he
Yeah.
opens the door. She opens the door, right? And she
Yeah.
just
Yeah, not great.
stabs
Yeah,
him.
and it's Jake, and then he's right in the abdomen stomach
Mhm,
area, so I know
mhm.
that's not gonna be good.
No.
And then she ends up after stabbing him, she's just like, sorry. I'm sorry.
And
And it doesn't really do too much.
But then Ash pops up and
Yeah.
she's like trying to get the door shut, and she's just like,
Yes.
Shoving
and she's
it
closing it on
closed
his
on him.
feet.
well,
And-
first she's closing it on his like midsection, and then she pulls him in a little bit, but
And
not
it's not
far
enough.
enough.
Yeah.
And so then she starts like slamming it on his feet, and then pulls him more. And I was like, girl, you
Poor
couldn't
guy.
tell that he was still in the door frame.
Yeah.
She didn't care.
She didn't.
She's like, I'm shutting these demons out.
And then that's whenever he ends up getting like he gets sucked into the basement somehow, like or
Yeah.
the demon grabs him or somehow he gets sucked in, and she's trying to fight it and hold him, but he ends up getting pulled in, and then
Well,
like all this blood.
And while
right?
while she's pulling him too, I loved the scene whenever he was just like, and then she was like, shut up,
Yeah.
shut up.
after she just stabbed him.
Yeah.
Well,
I
because
was
she's
like,
already
"Girl, this
she's
is
already
her
pulled it
fault."
out at this point, right?
Yeah, stop griping
Yeah.
about
Because
that
she's like,
big
I'm
gaping
just
hole in your
pull
stomach.
it out, which I
Yeah.
don't think you're supposed to do.
Yeah, you're
No,
not.
No.
probably not.
No, yeah.
I don't know the etiquette of a spine knife, but
Yeah.
I would assume you don't
It's even
pull it
worse.
out.
Probably
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's like
Mhm.
serrated,
It does more
Serrated.
damage pulling
but
it back
with
out
big
from
big
every angle.
chunks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's ribbed for no one's
Rib
pleasure.
for no one's pleasure.
And then he ends up
That's
getting
the quote of the day.
It
Thank
is.
you.
That's the
Good
title
job.
for the episode.
You
We
did
should
it.
put that on
You
a
did it.
t-shirt.
Yeah. And so
For no one's pleasure.
we
BooBaes.
That's how that's it. It's our
That's
tagline.
good.
That's us.
And so at that point, and because all that blood is then getting like splattered everywhere through the not a trap door. What are those called?
It's a
Floor
cellar
door?
door.
Cellar
door.
door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Ash comes inside at this point, and I think now he's trying to attack Annie, and Annie's fighting him off at this point.
Yeah, he like fucking chunks
Oh,
her.
he does. Yeah.
Chunks her just against the wall, and then she lands on the couch and stuff.
Mhm.
I don't really blame him at this point, though, because you don't know who's possessed, who's not possessed. You don't
Well,
know
and
what's
he is
going on.
possessed at this point.
Well, yeah, that's true.
He
That's
is
true.
possessed. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
He's
Yeah,
possessed,
yeah.
and then she tries to kill him, but at this point, he like comes out of it, and that's
Yeah.
whenever
because he
That's
finds the
right.
necklace, and the necklace's chain was in a skull shape.
Was it really?
I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
I've never noticed that.
I even
Huh.
rewound it to make
Yeah.
sure, but the way that it was, it had two eyes and the little
Like the
mouthy
mouth.
part at
Yeah.
the bottom. Yeah,
That's
it
cool.
looked
Very
like a
nice,
skull to
Caitlin.
me.
Good job.
Anyways,
Good eye.
It could be that it was completely just unintentional and that was how it laid, but it
Oh,
looked
I
like a
doubt
skull
it.
to me.
It's
Yeah.
probably intentional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's
But
intentional.
he ends up coming back and then trying to tell her like 5 times, and she's still. It's funny because she stops, and then out of nowhere she's like, "Ugh," and he's like, "No, I told you, I'm back.
I'm fine.
I am good." And this is whenever they end up going to the pages or to try to get the pages in the cellar, and so he goes
Yeah.
down there, and it's like it looks like things have been thrown around. There's like water everywhere.
Mhm.
It looks really messed up and janky, and then he ends up getting the pages, and then that's whenever he ends up.
Yeah, it looks like a skull.
Yeah, I
going-
literally looked it up and looked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it does.
I didn't even
it looks
notice
just like a
that
skull.
at
I've
all.
never noticed it.
I really
That's
didn't.
awesome.
And they end up going to the shed, and this is where we have the cool scene of him
Becoming the
cut
original
scenes.
Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
Original Dingy.
So this is it right here, right? This is my money shot as far as the movie goes. Is
Yeah.
all of the chung, chung, boom, gong,
Yeah.
all of the quick shots, like him putting that thing together, jamming his arm in
Yeah.
it, all of that. Oh,
It was so cool.
That
It's
is
like a
the one.
montage, but not a montage, if that makes sense.
Yes, it absolutely
Yeah,
is. And
yeah.
if you watch any of Raimi's stuff after this, you'll see that shot a lot. Like he repeats
Oh,
those
and
things.
Spider-Man.
In Spider-Man.
Yeah.
In Drag Me to Hell, which is a good
I just
movie, by
rewatched
the
that
way.
one not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drag Me to Hell's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
It's
very
a little campy. The goat talking and all
it
that,
is a
dancing
lot,
on the table.
It's a lot of
The old
Evil
lady
Dead type stuff.
When
yeah.
she's like biting onto the
Mhm.
girl with her mouth.
yeah, yeah.
It's been
But you can tell
Wow.
he's even got
so
more
long
money
since I've seen
at
it.
that
Oh, yeah.
point, to make it look good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Justin Long.
Justin Long is in like every other scary movie
Yeah.
ever.
Yes.
My buddy
I
was
love
telling
him.
me about a movie that he has coming out where Justin Long is the mayor of this city, like this small town, but he's a serial killer also.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm.
It's supposed to be like a horror comedy kind of
Mhm.
thing. Anyway, I don't know the name of it, but he's
I'll have to look it up.
if it's
That
got
sounds
Justin
cool.
Long in it, I'll usually watch it.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
do
Yeah.
love Justin Long.
It was what, Barbarian?
He was in
just
Barbarian.
Oh, yeah. we
and
were
like
talking about covering that
uncredited. Like you didn't even know he was in it
Oh, yeah.
until you
yeah.
watched the movie.
He wasn't
Yeah.
on like the main
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was great
Yeah,
in
'cause
that as a
you
real turd.
Really only got
Yeah.
he did play such a good asshole
Yeah.
that I was like, wow, I didn't know Justin Long could be this mean.
Yeah. Well, he is a Mac.
What's that mean?
Do you remember those commercials where one guy was a Mac and one guy was a PC?
Oh,
He was the Mac.
Yes,
that's right.
true.
He's allowed to be an asshole. He was a Mac.
I
That's
forgot
right.
about
He
that.
was the superior.
That's right. That's right.
But a dick about it.
So many
Yeah.
people.
The
all
other one is
Android
the other guy is
users get
John
mad.
Hodgman.
I don't remember that.
He's the PC guy, and he's long storied comedy career.
Oh.
He has a podcast called Judge John Hodgman, where
Oh.
he decides these things for people in a funny way. Anyway,
Oh,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sounds
Anyway,
fun.
there you go.
That's pretty cool. And we get that really, all of this is happening. And then I love how whenever he's done with it, he just looks like at her and he's just like groovy.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. At that point, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Groovy.
Yeah. And also pretty cool that he could do that all pretty fast. Like literally like,
And that he had
Attached
that
and then, like,
idea and stuff, and
and then-
had that cool
then it
little
has, like-
thing to
mhm.
start the
Uh-huh.
to start it on.
He's
to
got the
where
little
it just
clip there, and he
pulls.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just pulls it out. Yeah.
yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
Because I was also wondering like, how does that work? But
Mhm.
he found a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is
Life
whenever
finds a way.
this is right. He gets ready and then he goes down into does Jurassic Park, and then he goes down into the cellar and he's gonna get the pages. Which at this point, does anything attack him down there?
So he goes down, and eventually he does get attacked
That's
by
right.
Henrietta. But
Yeah.
he finds one page, and then we hear this like hissing sound that's coming from the other room.
Yeah.
And he's thinking it's Henrietta, and he's going and going and going, and then all of a sudden it's just like the water heater.
I'm not going in
Or
that effing
something.
basement.
No,
I'm not going down there.
No matter
Yeah,
what.
no,
No, screw
Chainsaw or
that.
not.
No,
With
screw that.
Henrietta down there, and then a skeleton pops out
Mhm.
and falls on him. Who I don't know who that skeleton was supposed to be,
Mm.
but at first I was like, "Is that Henrietta's skeleton?" And then
I think it's the guy.
yeah,
I think
the
it's the
dad.
father. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
because
makes
it definitely
sense.
wasn't Henrietta.
Yeah,
'Cause
sure.
She pops up later, and I love whenever he goes back and he throws the papers up to Annie,
Mm.
and they're just like perfectly still stacked.
Yeah.
It's like they'd been glued all together.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
They probably were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really entertaining to
It
me.
was all that gloopy blood.
It was.
Yeah.
The green blood.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever she starts reciting the incantation, the first part of it.
Yeah, and Henrietta gets him from under the stairs.
Yeah.
She pops up.
She kind of like gets him knocked out a little
Terrifying.
bit. Like, boom. Gets him off his feet.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's it just plays into such a major fear for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like just getting a cellar,
Yeah.
but then B getting attacked on the stairs way up to from the
Getting
cellar.
out. Yeah.
Because everyone
going down.
always turns the lights off
And
and
then
then,
you run.
runs so fast up it. And
So
yeah.
there used to be a haunted house here in town. You know where the football stadium is?
Oh, yeah.
Right across the street from the football stadium, there used to be like a warehouse.
Okay.
And that warehouse for a long time was a XXX shop, right? Like it had, you put the quarter in, you watch the movie, jerk off and leave or whatever, right? It was one of those kind of places.
Wasn't Summer Palace used to be there? Do you remember?
I don't know, maybe.
Okay, gotcha.
But anyway, that thing finally closed down.
Yeah.
Through the sheer will of Baylor. They shut it down, and then it became a haunted house for like, I don't know, it's 5 or 6 different Octobers. Like
Okay.
Oh wow.
it just sat there until
That time of
haunted
year.
time came
Mhm.
around, But that is the only one I've ever been in where you went down the stairs and somebody tried to grab you from under the stairs.
Oh.
That sucks.
Yeah.
You do that, I'm kicking you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not making me trip down these damn stairs.
Yeah, I know. I was like, that sounds like a lawsuit waiting to
Yes.
happen.
Yes. Yeah, it sucked.
Well, and also like if
That's
they
so
touch you, it's
scary.
like unless you signed a waiver, which I'm
Mhm.
sure you did.
I don't think
Didn't
so.
have
Not
to.
at this time. Mm.
Yeah. Then like I feel like that's a grounds
It
for
was like, we
nah,
got through
it's
Halloween
too
only
far.
one death.
Too far.
Or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
It
was
was
only one death.
I did not.
I'm
like
here for
that.
the illusion of fear, not real
No,
fear.
Don't be grabbing my feet.
Yeah.
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 No, that's weird.
But he after she recites the first part of the incantation, she gets attacked by Henrietta.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And she's like flying around
Mhm.
and just like
Being evil.
nomming on her head and stuff.
Henrietta reminds me of like a Thanksgiving Day blimp at this point.
Mm,
Yeah.
You know?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She was really bloated.
she was.
Well, I mean, just the flying
Well-
around and the whole thing,
Yeah.
Just yeah.
And she looks
And why don't they fly more often?
that's
I mean,
true.
I would think you could attack more people if you're flying.
Yeah.
But
I
just
feel like
every
they would
once in a while.
possess that skill.
Yeah.
It's
No pun intended.
I mean,
mhm.
we saw Ed Is his name
What?
Ed, the boyfriend?
Oh yeah.
We saw the
When he was
boyfriend
up
fly
earlier.
Yeah.
earlier too.
Yeah.
So
But why
I'm
don't
just
more
saying,
of them
just
do
fly.
that? Yeah.
yeah,
Grab them, throw them in a
fly
pit,
everywhere.
something.
And then Ash ends up coming back too, and he gets back upstairs, and that's whenever he's trying to fight Henrietta, and then that's whenever her head starts turning into that like
Dinosaur
Yeah.
looking thing.
Yeah.
Gets the long ass neck.
which reminds me of like SpongeBob, the chocolate. You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Her head.
what?
They're selling what?
Chocolates.
And so this is whenever he's fighting with her now, and I think Annie is still trying to read the incantations, but Henrietta somehow. Oh, that's right. The hand, doesn't it stab? Is that not yet? Wait, hold up.
That-
No,
not quite.
not yet.
Yeah.
No, because you're right. She ends up singing the Mockingbird. This is when she sings
Yeah.
it.
Hush, little
Annie
baby,
sings it
don't say a
to
word.
distract it.
Yeah, and then Ash ends up basically dismembering it.
Yeah.
And then the head's still going, and she's like, I'll swallow your soul, I'll swallow your soul.
Mhm.
And then he goes, hey, swallow this.
Blows her head up.
Boom.
I put standing ovation for that line.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Ash is very good at that. I have a soft spot in my heart for any funny asshole,
Mhm.
and Ash definitely fits that bill. Like he was one of the first for me. Like he's
Like
really
an anti-hero.
honestly, Ash is a dick. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not a great guy,
Yeah.
but he gets thrown into this situation, and the humor and the ridiculousness that comes with it. He makes a very good anti-hero, like you
Mhm.
say. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love how this sets up for Army of Darkness, all the different quotes and stuff, like give me some sugar and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Anyway.
one-liners.
Yeah. Those are
the
my favorite.
punchlines.
Yeah.
And then Annie has to finish the passages because at this point, all
The
of
trees
the
are
evilness
attacking
is
the house.
has its physical form now because
Yeah.
she recited the first part.
And it's
Klaatu
put it
Barada
into
Necto.
flesh.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is where the hand pops up and stabs Annie with a ceremonial looking
Yeah.
knife.
Right in the back.
Stabs her in the back.
Mhm.
Yep.
And with her last breath, she finishes the incantation for the
Kanda.
second
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
passage.
Yeah, and then the portals, the portals, the portal starts, the rift in space and time starts
Electrodos.
opening.
Bust the door down.
And yeah, and it does, and then like all the evil starts going back into it, and then the book goes into it, and then I love how it just like gets real quiet for a second, and we think like, oh,
It's like the eye of a
over.
tornado
Fine.
kind of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
it's fine, everything's good now. But then it just like goes crazier, and then the whole house starts getting sucked into the portal, and then we have Ash getting sucked in there to it.
Finally.
That's
That's when he gets the stripe in his hair, right?
I think so.
Like, doesn't he get the white stripe in his hair because
Oh,
he's so
maybe.
scared? Yeah.
Mhm.
Like it's
Very
like shows it.
rogue.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah.
remember seeing
Yeah.
that.
Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah,
but
that kind of thing.
But he ends up getting sucked in and then falling kind of into a,
Medieval.
He falls through what looks like just Christmas lights.
It does look
It's
like
just a bunch of
lights.
Christmas lights is all.
And then some lightning.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And
It's a
then-
good portal whatever. It's a good representation of what you think a portal would be.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
reminds me of like, we're going plaid.
yeah.
Spaceballs and stuff.
hmm
Yeah.
Well, I mean, then it's like left to your imagination because I mean, a portal could be
Sure.
anything. We don't know what
Sure.
it looks like
Yeah.
anyways.
Sure.
We
Yeah.
have no clue.
Could be
We've
all
never
bunnies.
been.
It could be.
Yeah.
Or just
Yeah.
nothing. Or just
Yeah.
who knows? Just light. Just
Or
white.
maybe portals.
Portals
aren't
are
a thing.
always usually like depicted as like black things, right?
Mhm.
Like dark
Mhm.
nothingness. But what if it is
Yeah.
just nothing but light?
Could be.
And just
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Could just be Christmas lights
Mhm.
all the way down.
and then
Christmas lights.
he ends up like you said being transported to looks like medieval times. But I don't think it's medieval times. I don't know what it is.
It
but
is.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's medieval times. Yeah.
And this
not the place.
Okay,
With the
yeah.
turkey legs,
Yeah.
but actual medieval.
not the
times,
Renaissance.
Yeah.
But in this
Renaissance.
in this universe, we have deadite,
Yeah.
pterodactyl
That
Yeah.
looking
fly.
things.
Yeah.
that-
Well, he falls, then the
Yeah.
car falls.
Yeah.
Or does
Which
the car fall
confused me.
first? One or the
no,
other.
he falls first,
Yeah.
which confused me because the car went way before him.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah,
But maybe
Gravity doesn't apply in a portal.
And maybe
no logic.
the car was too big to fit through the
Sure.
portal, and so it had to
It took a little
shove
time.
its way
I
through.
think
Yeah.
you're thinking
a
way
little
too
bit.
deep on this thing, but
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
It's a cartoon.
Yeah.
And
Very much
yeah,
is.
because then, well, first, before we get introduced to the deadite thing, we have all the men in shining armor
Uh-huh.
and riding on horses
Yeah.
surrounding him, and they say we need to kill him because he's a deadite.
Mhm.
But then we have an actual deadite coming, and then he's able to blow its head right off.
with a shotgun.
And then they all start praising him, and they're saying "Hell Ash" because he fell from the sky and was able to, I guess, kill the deadite.
Well,
Yeah.
they
he who comes
Yeah,
from the sky
sky.
and delivers
I
him
mean,
from the terror of the deadites.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I mean,
Yeah.
And
seems
he was
prophetic.
the guy in the book that we saw
Right.
earlier, because in the
Right.
book she found this page,
and he was
and
like, "What is that?"
it
you don't
clearly
realize.
looked like him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did.
Well, but I'm saying,
I was like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Ash.
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't even know though that the time portal was.
But she found
part
it
of this.
before the gun, right? Before he had the shotgun and the chainsaw.
Oh, it was pretty early
Yeah.
on.
yeah. But in the book, he's got both of those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does,
And it was predetermined.
and he's like holding the chainsaw up, which I
Yeah,
thought
that's
he
smart.
was gonna hold the chainsaw up, but he didn't.
Well, wait. He holds the shotgun up.
Shotgun
It's like
up.
that.
Yeah, he holds
Oh,
the
okay.
shotgun up. Yeah, because in the second one, he's like, "This is my boomstick."
Oh,
Yeah,
is that?
yeah. There's a little painting of it back there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
With Hank.
It's
Hank
halfway
Hill.
Hank, halfway Ash.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Cool. But yeah,
one of my children painted that.
That's super cool.
that's cool.
Yeah, it shows you what I've done to him.
They know their father. But yeah,
But he was the guy in the book,
and I love
that's-
I love how he ends it too with just like screaming no. Yeah, and then
It's
that's
very
the
much a
movie.
callback to like old horror movies and old dinosaur stuff and things like that. You know, it's very much a De Laurentiis
Yeah,
callback.
it looked like the land in between
Land of the
time-
Lost
Land of the
kinda thing.
Lost. Yeah, that's what it was
Mhm,
giving.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then that's how we end the movie.
That's
The Evil
it.
Dead 2.
That's it.
It's really fast. It's only an hour and 25 minutes.
It is. It's a
pretty
very
short
fast movie.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It is.
I can't imagine what it took to make it.
Mhm.
Because you think about the time that it was made, and even though they had money, it couldn't have been that much.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and just all of the effects and all of the stuff.
Yeah.
Because back then,
all
I
that
mean,
claymation.
well, yeah, I mean,
Claymation takes so long.
forever.
The
It's one
time.
shot move, one shot
Yeah.
move, one shot move. Yeah, it's a lot of time spent on a movie like this.
Yeah. I wonder how much like was also him too, like, and his own like friends and stuff, like
Mhm.
putting in their own effort.
Well, from what I understand, there's like 4 of them,
Yeah.
and that was it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I want to say that one of the guys, and it may have been the blonde guy, was
Mhm.
their friend as well.
Mm.
It's one of them is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's like putting on a show in your mom's backyard
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That's what it gives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It
then
gives,
somebody
like,
gives you a bunch of props and you do the show again.
gives like a labor of love,
Yeah.
like a passion.
Very
project.
much so.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
just, or like you and your friends doing something.
Everybody
For the
out
thrill
of
of it.
Everybody out of Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah.
That's where they're all from.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's another reason he played to the Pontiac, because you think about Detroit in the old days. I mean, it was all automobile manufacturers and
Factories.
stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Old school, all made out of not iron. What's it?
American Steel.
Yeah, steel. All made out of American steel. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
That's
pretty
neat.
dope.
So
yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
You guys didn't even take a break in this one.
Oh, that's right.
That's amazing.
I forgot.
Good job.
Whoops.
It's
We'll-
okay.
We'll find a spot.
We'll be right back.
Yeah.
No.
Right at the end. But yeah, do you have any fun facts for this?
I do. Let's see. So, during the scene where the severed head of Linda bites Ash's hand, Bruce Campbell says the single line "work shed." This line was later redubbed in post-production due to the quality of the audio, giving it a strange,
Oh, I'm
slightly
sure.
disproportionate sound to the audio.
Mm.
9 years later, while filming his cameo in Escape from L.A., the first thing Kurt Russell said to Bruce Campbell on the set was jokingly, "work shed." Let's see. Stephen
so
King
funny.
was...
Have you ever seen that?
No.
Escape from LA?
I haven't seen it.
It's bad. It's a
Mm.
bad movie. Escape from New York is one of my favorites
Mhm.
because, again, it's just the time period, right? I think it's like 82 or something like that. So I
Mhm.
saw it when I probably shouldn't have seen it.
Which one came first?
Escape from New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was LA just trying to bank
LA
off
was
like
96.
It was just them making another one. You know, that's all it was. Yeah.
like a lethal weapon?
Oh, yeah. Stephen King was such a huge fan of The Evil Dead that he convinced producer De Laurentiis over dinner, who was producing King's Maximum Overdrive at the time,
Oof.
to have his production company, DEG, finance Evil Dead 2.
Maximum Overdrive's a terrible movie.
Is it?
It is an awful, awful Stephen King movie. Yeah.
Sam Raimi credits Stephen King with making this film possible. Raimi couldn't acquire enough money to fund the production, so King, a huge fan of the original, convinced them to give them the money that they need, basically.
Wow.
Raimi later made appearances in the miniseries The Stand and The Shining, 94 and 97, respectively.
That's cool.
And then,
Well, The Shining was the one, the TV,
The TV
version,
version.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The
With the guy
series.
from Wings,
yeah, a
which
little
I think is
miniseries.
actually pretty good, honestly.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's really, it's not bad.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then Rosebud, the
Closer
supposed
to the book. I'm sorry.
Than the
Yeah,
actual.
sorry
one.
to
Yeah.
interrupt you, but it is closer to the book. Yeah.
Rosebud, the supposed film production company, was not a real institution. Producer De Laurentiis was forbidden to release an unrated movie through his own company, so Rosebud was created specifically for the purpose of releasing Evil Dead 2.
It's like a
crazy.
pseudonym.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I was funny too because when it came up at the beginning of the film, I was like, I've never heard of that for
Yeah.
anything else. Yeah.
We know Rosebud. I mean, that refers to like the
like a-
Citizen Kane thing.
Oh no.
So like Citizen Kane, that was his whole deal. He kept saying, like, as he was dying, he'd say Rosebud. And it goes back to the sled he had as a child. That's what he was talking about. He just wanted those fond memories and stuff. So that's where the Rosebud thing comes in.
I see.
I thought we were just talking about a prolapsed asshole.
Well, I guess it's all the way you look at it. I don't know.
Yeah. Rose-colored
Prolapse.
glasses, lenses.
Yeesh.
Was that all for the fun facts?
Mhm.
Fun facts.
That was
Fun fact
fun.
it up.
And they were
ratings.
facts.
Yeah,
They were.
Good job.
Hopefully.
Well, are
Can I
you-
tell you about something real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
add it.
Again, just huge fan of this movie. I'll watch it anytime and everywhere it's on. Went to see the musical. You ever heard of the Evil Dead musical?
No.
There's an Evil Dead musical.
Evil Dead musical. Yeah. Went to
Wow.
see that in San Antonio at anyway, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Beautiful theater, but the first 3 rows, y'all know who Gallagher is? You ever heard of Gallagher?
Yeah.
I think
He used to
so.
smash watermelons and he was a comedian and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing about Gallagher is like the first 3 rows, they would have to bring like umbrellas and stuff because they would get covered in watermelon juice or whatever. Same deal with Evil Dead musical. The first 3 rows were the splash zone because you would get blood on you.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's pretty
That's
cool.
It's
cool.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Though.
yeah.
I've got a shirt from it, and every time I wear it, people are like, that's fun. I said, no, it's a real thing. You know, we actually went to see it. It was a touring thing. Like it went all over the
Wow.
place.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's neat.
And it's all
I'd
based
see
on the second one, really. It's not, it has
Yeah.
very little to do with the first one.
Well, that's pretty cool. More horror movies should be turned into musicals.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd watch a
I
musical.
agree.
Beetlejuice.
That's right.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice has its own musical.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice does have one, yeah. Beetlejuice 2 is on its way.
That's right.
Yeah.
How exciting.
With-
Oh,
what's her
yeah.
name
With
from-
Jenna Ortega.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. She looks like she could be her daughter.
And they're bringing back original people, I believe, too,
Yeah.
like Michael Keaton, Winona,
Yeah.
and stuff. I mean, I don't know more than that, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Love it.
Tim Burton, whatever he does, I'll see it.
Yeah.
Same deal with Raimi, Burton, whatever.
Tim Burton doesn't make many bad things.
He doesn't.
No.
And it's all stylized. So, I mean, if
You
even
know
if-
a Tim Burton film when you see one.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even if it's a bad movie, you're still like, oh, that was a Tim Burton movie.
Mhm.
You know,
So-
it's still cool.
Still good.
It's going to make sense because it's Tim Burton.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't make sense because
Yeah.
it's Tim Burton.
You got
yeah.
it.
Mhm.
You got it.
But boo ratings? We
Boo
ready for a boo
ratings.
rating? I think I'm going to give the Evil Dead 2 a solid 4.0 rating.
This is 1 to 5?
Yes.
1 to
Or
5.
0 to 5, I guess?
0 to
Yeah.
5. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
A good 4.0. I mean, I enjoyed the sound throughout the whole movie. I thought like the sound of it was
Mhm.
really cool because throughout
Done
the
well.
entire movie, and I also watched it with my headphones on,
Mhm.
so like you hear everything, and throughout the
Yeah.
entire movie, there's always a carefully planned out creak or sound or
can-
ominous.
You can really tell that they spent a lot of time in the sound.
Department
Yeah.
of it,
Yeah.
which I think really carries the movie because, like we said, there's a lot of like kind of for the better term, like hokey pokey kind
Yeah.
of like effects and stuff, and so it
Yeah.
really adds to where it makes it seem a bit more official and like more climactic than anticlimactic.
The Foley work in it, which is like the sound work and stuff, is excellent. They did a really good job. Not all of the camera work is stellar, but you can certainly see like a young Sam Raimi developing, and just those cool quick shots. Those will always get
style.
me.
Mhm.
Always.
Yeah.
And you can see, and now watching this, I can see like all the references that now pop culture has made from the
Yeah.
movie.
Well, and that's an important thing here, right?
The influence.
A lot of people, I mean, you guys are way younger than me, but when you watch these things, you're watching them out of context, because you don't know the time, you don't know what was going on, and you don't know really what came before the other thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And without Evil Dead, you would not have a lot of the tropes that you have in horror movies these days. Cabin in the Woods is a great
Yeah.
it basically is an Evil Dead movie for the most part. You know, it's just cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's a like new updated take
Cabin
on
in
the
the Woods
same thing.
is
It's pretty funny. Pretty
fucking
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great
I think
movie.
we ended up both
We
rating
did.
it like a 5 or
5.
something.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
You're great tongue-in-cheek comedy / horror.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And even twists, because before I watched it the first time, it totally got me with the twist.
well,
I
you
was
just
like,
feel
oh,
like you just feel like it's teenagers having sex and getting high movie, you know,
Yeah.
where they get killed. It
Yeah.
feels like a Friday the 13th movie at first.
It feels
and
familiar.
then it twists real quick.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's great.
Mhm.
It is so good.
But with
So
that,
Evil Dead 2, what's your rating?
Well, what's yours?
No, I'm
no,
going last.
Caitlin,
You're
you go
going
first.
last?
You got
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably give this film. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed watching it, and it was such an easy watch.
It
Like
is.
that, I was like, I could turn this on anytime and be able to get through this. And
Mhm.
it didn't have as many problematic aspects in it as the first one did. And it
You're
just
talking about the roots and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sam Raimi
Yeah, it's rough.
deliberately even didn't
Yeah.
want to recreate that or something like that.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
probably
Well,
good
there's
idea.
there's an interview where he says he regrets that scene. And
Well, it's a
filming
bunch
that
of
scene.
college students, right?
Yeah.
And making bad decisions and
Yeah.
just doing fast stuff as fast as
Shock
they can.
factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move
Yeah,
fast,
and
break
it did
things.
have shock factor.
Yeah.
But this film I thought was just really enjoyable and easy to get through, and the effects were so much better, like light years better than the first one, and it was just really, really fun to watch. I really enjoyed it, so I'd probably give it a 4.5.
Yeah, it shows you what you can do with practical effects.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lost art these days. One of the things that is currently pissing me off as an old white man is that when you see fire in a movie these days, generally it's CGI fire, and you can
Yeah.
always tell.
You can tell.
Just light a fire. Come on, really?
Just
Just
light
set
the
something on
person on
fire. Well, that's
fire.
what I'm saying, right? There's a whole
Well, there was-
industry built on lighting people on fire.
That's
you
what I was
know?
gonna
So,
say. Yeah. Give them some work.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't remember the last thing we watched, but this car blew up, and it just doesn't look right.
It's like Smile.
You know?
When we watched Smile.
Oh,
Like,
right,
a lot of
when
that was
she
super
went up in-
CGI, but yeah, you could tell like all of that is
You can
not real
always
flame.
tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to see a CGI lion or anything.
Or like
you know what I'm
CGI
saying?
blood.
It just doesn't look
Yeah, that's not
right.
your
It's just
fave.
not there
Mhm.
yet. Yeah, it's just not there yet.
Yeah.
But as far as this movie goes, I mean, it's a 4.9 for me. I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost a 5. The only reason it's a 4.9, if I were to watch it completely out of context, I'd probably say like 3.5 or something like
Yeah.
that, you know. But having my context and my life interwoven in this thing, it's a solid 4.9.
Mhm.
Can't give it perfect because of the claymation weird
Yeah.
dance thing. I mean, I understand where it comes from and all that, but again, can't give it perfect. But this and Office Space are both at a 4.9 for me.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So and then yours was a
4.5.
4.5, right? So 4.5, 4.9. I think it's still a solid 4.5,
Yeah,
right?
we're still
Yeah.
a solid 4.5, 4.7, something
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, the movie, after talking about it now with you as well, it's funny how when you talk about something, you can even gain
Yeah.
even more deeper appreciation of the film itself.
And this is a very good example of knowing the behind the scenes stories
Mhm.
make it a much better watch.
Yeah.
You know, over the years, I've learned a lot about, you know, the way they made this and the people that were involved. And it's done nothing but make it a bigger movie for me, you know. Now, Army of Darkness, whole different thing, whole different movie.
Yeah.
Army of Darkness is not a horror movie.
I've heard it's like
Army of Darkness is a big, goofy movie.
more camp.
I love it, but it's goofy as hell.
I've not
Yeah.
seen it.
I haven't seen
Yeah,
it either.
it is. You talk about a cartoon. That is a cartoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic. I love it because it's
Mm-hmm.
Ash and it's all that. Now, did either one of you ever watch the Ash versus Evil Dead TV show?
No, but I
No.
heard it was really good.
It is very good.
Yeah.
And if you like this universe, that is a place to go because it does answer a lot of questions.
What is
and
that
they do
on?
a lot of- it was on, I think, AMC or something. I don't know. What
I think it was
but you can
AMC.
find it almost
Yeah, yeah.
anywhere at this point.
Yeah.
It may even be on Netflix at this point. The whole series run.
Oh, okay.
I think it was 2 seasons, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably about 20 episodes.
It's like directly like related, like all.
It is. It's
yeah.
Ash. Yeah, and he is working.
Is it Bruce Campbell?
Yeah, He's
Oh,
working
wow.
he's working in S-Mart. Yeah. Just like he is is it at the end of this one that he ends up in S-Mart?
No.
No. Okay.
At the end of this one, he ended up in the
The medieval.
medieval
Yeah.
place, just in the
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Well, watch Army of Darkness and you'll understand what he worked at a place called S-Mart, which is kind
Like
of
a Kmart.
it's like a Kmart.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Deadites cross over into that time. And
Mhm.
I always thought the S-Mart could have been like its own thing.
Hmm.
But anyway, that's me thinking way too much about
Yeah,
these stupid
yeah.
movies.
That's cool.
Your favorite movies? Nah.
They
not
are.
stupid.
They are.
Yeah.
They're some of my favorites. Yeah.
Well,
That's
thanks for joining
exciting.
us, Mike.
Yeah, man. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed this. Thank y'all for finally doing it.
Yeah.
This is cool.
I know
That's
it's
pretty cool.
been a long time coming.
Now,
Next
can
one we got to do is rubber.
Yes, I would love. That's right up there. That's a 4.9 as well. Not to spoil anything, but Rubber is the most ridiculous thing you'll ever watch.
Yeah.
Now, I know this has nothing to do with these movies, but I'm going to ask y'all about something just real quick because the fourth one is about to come out. I have just binged the 3 Hell House LLC
Oh,
movies.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have y'all
We've
seen
covered.
those?
Yeah,
We
we
covered the
covered
first
Hell
one.
House.
I thought you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've now watched all 3 of them. And then the 4th one comes out, I think, at the end of this month.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah. And so I'm super excited to see it. These are not the greatest movies in the world,
Mhm.
No,
but they're really well done.
I really enjoyed Hell House.
They remind me of
That's
like
right.
a Sam
I did
Raimi kind of
see
thing.
Yeah.
you
Shutter
know?
posted
Some
that
friends
Hell House
making
was
movies.
about to come
And this
out.
one's an origins. So it tells you how all this stuff came
Yeah.
to be. The clown and the whole thing. Yeah.
Which is always needed.
Ooh,
Yeah.
The clown in
From the
Hell
get-go,
House
'cause we're always
so
like,
scary.
The clown in Hell House is very scary. Yeah.
Just the
Just
way
when
that
he
it
turns
sits
his head
there
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's creepy as hell.
And then whenever it just pops up in the hallway.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
no,
is-
yeah,
that-
that scared the shit out of me.
Hell House to me is a very good representation of what you can do with no money whatsoever. And you can still make a good movie.
Hell House is the one where they end up getting buried in the end, right?
No,
Alive?
that's
a
the
different
house is October built.
one. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the other one. My bad.
No, this
that
is-
also had sequels.
Yeah, this is
Yes.
Hotel Abaddon, and they're putting on a haunted
New
house.
York.
And
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for some reason, somebody lets somebody else put on a haunted house there later. So I don't.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Because
But they do mention at one point that the town may be complicit in the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only thing that really explains it to me. But that's
Yeah.
way too far into Hell House. So
it was a good way. I would recommend you go watch those films and go listen to our Hell House episode. It was fun.
another easy watch.
Yeah.
Like if you turn those on, you can pay 75% attention and still get what's
It's
going
not-
on.
Yeah.
It's not like Malum where
The one we just
you
watched.
don't.
I feel like you'd probably. Like
Yeah,
that.
I have never
Yeah.
heard of Malum until y'all brought it up in that episode. So
It was pretty
I plan on
good.
watching that. Yeah,
I gave it a 4.5.
I like found footage stuff. I just
This one's not found footage all the way.
really.
It's
like-
got found footage aspects, but it's only like it's like she literally found some footage
Yeah,
and watches it throughout the film.
Mhm.
But
They drive the narrative.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Uh huh.
Yeah, my favorite found footage movie will always be what's the one with the big monster?
Cloverfield,
Oh,
Yeah,
Cloverfield.
Cloverfield.
Mm.
Cloverfield will
Cloverfield's so
always be
good.
my.
We've covered
my
that as
favorite
well.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah,
listen to our
it's
Cloverfield
just so
episode.
good.
Yeah, I like Cloverfield,
And it's
especially
got-
when it came out.
You talk about a lot of Easter eggs. That
Yeah.
fucker has a lot of that stuff, and like the
Mhm.
stuff falling from the sky that you don't see the first time, and everything.
Oh.
Yeah, that and
Yeah,
Blair
well, that-
Witch. I mean,
Mhm.
those
Yeah,
are
Blair Witch, so good.
Blair
We've
Witch
also
is
covered that.
kinda
Go
like
listen
the
to that.
Blair-
episode.
blue-
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just throwing up business for you. Is all this is. But yeah, Blair Witch
Shameless
is
plugs.
Blair Witch is one of those that scared the shit out of me as an
Mhm.
adult in a theater.
Yeah, I remember you saying
I couldn't
that.
imagine watching it in the theater.
Mm.
Yeah, that's probably really scary.
Well,
All black around
The
you.
problem
and
is
dark.
at the very end when everything just kind of goes,
Yeah.
they turn the lights on immediately, like
Ah.
all the lights,
Yeah.
and that'll
Just like,
scare
"Ah."
the shit out of
Yeah.
you. Yeah,
It shocks your senses.
yeah. I
Mhm.
think my wife was pregnant at the time, and I may have left her. I don't know.
because you
like
were that spooked.
Get out of here!
Oh, I thought you meant like you left
no,
her.
no, no, no. That's not what I meant.
You're
No,
like,
no, no.
you know what? This movie made me
like,
realize
see you,
we're
bye,
not meant
dirt.
for each other.
I don't love you anymore. Bye.
Oh God,
I was like, wow, Mike.
Yeah, well, it's
eye opening.
has an important place in my life.
Yeah, we can see that.
Second marriage was Mickey's Christmas Carol. That's what broke us up. I'm just making that up.
Mickey's Christmas Carol.
It's
Um,
Donald Duck Scrooge.
Yeah, and then well,
What do y'all have
anything more to
coming up?
add?
What do y'all have coming up?
So we're gonna be doing. We don't know in which order, but we're
Mhm.
gonna be doing Barbarian.
Oh
yes, Barbarian.
We're gonna be doing
Barbarian's pretty kick.
Talk to Me, this movie that came out 2022.
The new A24 movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've
With
not
the
seen
hand.
that, but yeah, I've heard
I watched it. It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Is it? Yeah.
It looked like it was good. I wanted to see it in theaters, but didn't have the time. I'm going to see the new Exorcist today.
Are you?
Cool.
Yeah.
I've heard mixed.
I haven't heard too much.
I really
I haven't
wanted it to
looked
be
into
good.
Yeah. I'll let you know what I
Yeah,
think.
please let me know.
What's it called? Like New Beginnings or something like that? Or
Exorcist.
I don't even know.
I almost said A New Hope.
Exorcist,
New Hope.
Electric Boogaloo.
The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh,
The Force
almost fell off
Awakens.
my chair. Yeah, I really wanted that to be good because the first Exorcist, I mean, it's creepy as hell. It's not super scary, but it is creepy. And and if you ever watched any of the, this is getting way off in the deep here, but there's a show on Shudder where they talk about all the weird stuff that happened behind the scenes, and that was one of the episodes. It's really good.
People getting sick, people getting hurt, and people dying like after
2 people,
production.
actually died.
What was that? Is that the
Linda Blair broke a
her back?
vertebrae.
Whenever he
because of the machine was throwing her all over the place. But that was the director also. The director was a total tool.
So he like slapped her and stuff.
Believer.
He shot a gun off, a real gun off on set just to get people's reactions on film. Yeah. And like the one lady, the mother, she gets thrown against the wall.
Yeah.
She actually got hurt, and that's the take they used.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this guy's like a method director or something.
And then they talked about how they punched that one guy in the face.
Yeah.
To get a reaction.
To deliver the last rites and stuff.
Yeah.
To get that reaction
Max
out of
von
him.
Sydow?
We've also covered The Exorcist. It was our first episode.
It was. The Exorcist was a good one. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate the invitation. Thanks for letting me be here.
Thanks for coming on, Mike. And then, like as always, we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studio.
That's right. They take great care of us, and you can listen to us and all the other amazing podcasts on their network all in one central place, and that is
RogueMediaNetwork.com.
And
can I put in a plug for something?
yeah.
I have very much wanted somebody to do a horror review show, but not what you guys do. What I want is people to review old-timey horror movies. So like Nosferatu, the original Frankenstein, Boris Karloff stuff, Dracula, things like that. I would love that kind of review show. So if there's anybody out there that loves horror movies and wants to do something like that, hit me up.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And then
we'll
we
cover
could
them
It'd
eventually.
be a great partner for
Compare.
you. Yeah.
I mean,
be a good partner.
Because we've covered some older ones. I think maybe the oldest one we've covered though has been Psycho.
Yeah. But I think that's the only one.
And that's in the
Psycho's
60s.
more of a horror though. What I want is like monster movies.
Yeah.
You know, Creature
Like
from Black
Frankenstein.
Lagoon.
Creature films.
Yeah. Even Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy or something like
Young
that kind of stuff.
Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein. Now that's a whole different animal.
That's such a good movie.
If you want an in-depth conversation with me, talk Young Frankenstein sometimes. Yeah. Any of the Mel Brooks properties, honestly.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's so good. It's got Gene Wilder.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
as
Great knockers.
a
Why,
young
thank you.
Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
R.I.P. Didn't he go crazy?
Gene Wilder?
Yeah.
No, he didn't go crazy. He was married to Lorraine Newman from Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
And she got cancer and got real bad.
Oh.
And then he had to anyway. He was a very good guy. Good guy.
But
you can always check us out.
Yeah, on all of your favorite podcasting platforms, the biggest two being
Spotify
and also Apple. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then word of mouth, tell your friends. It's spooky season, so it's prime time for listening to spooky podcasts. And then you can watch these films along with us to check off all your horror film needs for the month of Halloween. And then you can also reach out to us on our one social media platform, which is Instagram, and that is at
BooBaes Podcast, and that's at BOOBAES, because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes.
That's right. And until next time, you guys.
Bye, Baes.
Happy spooky season. Bye, Baes.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.
Why don't more infant formula companies use organic, grass-fed whole milk instead of skim? Why don't more infant formula companies use the latest breast milk science? Why don't more infant formula companies run their own clinical trials? Why don't more infant formula companies use more of the proteins found in breast milk? Why don't more infant formula companies have their own factories instead of outsourcing their manufacturing? We wondered the same thing. So we made ByHeart, a better formula for formula. Learn more at byheart.com.
Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support and a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.